Get ready to dive into the comic book realm where heroes rise and villains take the helm. We're here to dissect the stories and the art. On source material, we tear the panels apart.
Here we go, issues 9 through 12. And the creative team is Ollie Masters writing, art by Lucas Wernick, colors by Joanna Lufuente, and letters by Ed Dukeshire. Our synopsis: the night is shattered by a mother's scream. Jax Teller is gone. Ripped away in the chaos of an ambush, Clay, bloodied and dazed, staggers to his feet, the ringing in his ears drowning out the panicked voices around him. Gemma's fury ignites like wildfire, but there's no time for grief. Sam Crow goes to war. As the club scours the city, fists fly, threats are made, and blood spills, but every lead turns cold. The truth gnaws at them. Whoever took Jax isn't leaving a trail. Meanwhile, Jax hangs in the darkness of a cold barn, shackled and battered, but not broken. His captors, ruthless men fueled by greed and grudges, debate his fate. Uzi isn't so sure about this. He was supposed to sell drugs, not kidnap an outlaw prince. His hesitation doesn't go unnoticed, but for now, it's just words until Jax finds the cracks in his captor's armor. As Sam Crow's hunt intensifies, desperation forces Clay into a move he swore he'd never make, asking for outside help. The pair decide to reach out to the dreaded Satanist to track down Jax. This man has no love for the club, but a respect for the game. The deal is simple: find Jax. No questions, no favors owed, just result. Meanwhile, Jax plays his own hand, working on Uzi's growing doubt. The young dealer isn't a killer. He's in over his head. And Jax, ever the survivor, knows how to turn doubt into an opportunity. He plants the seed. If Uzi wants out of this, is his chance. The tension thickens when a sheriff stumbles upon the barn, drawn by the sound of gunfire. For a brief moment, there's hope, but the captors act fast, take him hostage, and then put a bullet in his skull.
The message, bullet in your fucking head.
The message is clear. This is past negotiation. The ransom call finally comes. $500,000 or Jax dies. Sam Crow has 4 days, but Clay isn't buying in. He's already made his move. The Sons ride out, armed to the teeth, tracking their new lead. What they find isn't just a hostage situation. It's a massacre. Blood coats the walls of the home. Bodies are littered on the ground. I'm going to stop here real quick because I want to talk about how I couldn't follow the ending. Now, I know what happens. I mean, it's pretty simple. We see Jax. First off, we see the sun show up at the end.
I was going to say, Uzi let him free. Uzi got a case of the conscience, let Jax out, and then Jax beat the shit out of him.
Beats him up, right?
Right.
He gets out. The way we end issue 11 is where the cop gets killed. Jax is... I don't remember if Jax has shown what happens there, but we do see the Sons ride up. They go into the place that has the barn. They go to the house. They open the doors. And there's just blood all over the place. So at that point, I'm thinking, okay, so they've showed up, they're there, and they think that Jax has gotten killed. Then we go into issue 12. And this is where I got confused after reading it twice. I was like, wait a second, there's something weird here. Issue 12.
Into AI?
Well, I always do that, but I fed it into my brain too, so I could try and make sense of this. Issue 12 opens up from Jax's point of view. He's chained up in the barn. And he hears the cop, yells for help, and then the cop gets shot. And that's all off panel. You see Jax hear that. Uzi comes running, lets Jax free. Okay, now this is all happening during the daytime. He goes out and grabs a shotgun. By various methods, he takes out his captors. They're dead. And then he falls.
Jax, a self-rescuing princess.
He falls down. And I think he's, oh no, wait a second. Uzi shows up again, and he's got the gun pointed at Uzi, and he decides his conscience gets the better of him. He does not pull the trigger. He says, I'm very tired, and then he passes out. And what happens next? The Sons wake him up. He's in the hospital.
Right.
Okay, what happened with the Sons going to the house and seeing blood all over the place? That's where I was confused at first.
I think by the time the Sons don't rescue him, he rescued himself. And he only rescued himself because of that. This is a failure of writing, by the way.
That's kind of where I was getting. There was either a bad continuity error or there's another way of taking this. But go ahead. I want to hear.
Well, I was going to say, it's beyond bad continuity. It's the writers decided there was no other way to get Jax out of there but to have Uzi have a crisis of conscience.
All right. So your issue is with why he got let loose. And
yeah, essentially, here's the story. Uzi's like, I feel bad about this now. I don't like my cousins. This isn't what I wanted. I just wanted to sell a little X, make a little money, and graduate from school. Now I'm like half a murderer. I should let Jax go. This is getting out of hand. I have to clear my conscience. And Jax, being a wild animal, gets free, beats the fuck out of him, then kills the other two guys.
Right.
And then, because he's wounded, collapses, and the Sons show up, and it's already over. They just find Jax's limp body and bring him home. That's all that happened.
You're right. That final issue was, number one, when you look at it as far as trying to follow continuity, it's tough because you see the Sons roll up on the house, go into the house, it's covered in blood, and you're thinking Jax is dead. So, yeah, there's that. And then we have the way that this is resolved, which is kind of weird. So here's what I think maybe they were trying to do. Mm-hmm. Maybe they were trying to be like, okay, this is from Jax's perspective. He goes out, he passes out, and then the Sons find him. We needed a panel of the Sons walking out of the house and going, oh, he's over here. And they all run over there and pick him up. It didn't make sense for them to go to the house. I'd have to look at the panels because I swear they were driving up the road and that headlights hit his body on the ground. Mm-hmm. I swear that's what happened. So I don't know when they got to the house and why they even walked in there in the first place if they saw his ass on the front, out in the front yard. So that's where I was like, this is all messed up. Aside from the writing, I think continuity-wise, you're telling a story at the end of issue 11 that doesn't even happen in issue 12.
At the end of the day, they bring Jax back, and he is a good boy, and he killed a lot of people.
Like a good son of Anarchy should.
If Redwood original was about how Jax went from being an obnoxious pissant to a loyal soldier, mission accomplished, I guess.
Yeah.
But as I said at the top of the show, what a missed opportunity to talk about the relationship between JT, Clay, and Gemma.
Yeah.
This book didn't tell me anything about Jax I didn't already know.
Didn't make you like him anymore.
Didn't make me like him any less.
Yeah.
I'm never going to like him more than I did as a hood ornament.
Oh, boy. All right. So my other notes for this final issue, we get the art. I just want to throw this out here. We get a great step up here in this last 4 issues. The art looks great. They look very, very faithful to the characters, the likeness of the characters that we see on TV. So that's great. There's a point where Uzi has a conversation with Jax, and Jax, of course, is trying to manipulate his way out of the situation. Mm-hmm. Uzi feels for Jax and tries to make him feel comfortable as much as he can. But they have this conversation.
We have talked so many times about how I don't feel comfortable rooting for bad people. And like the guy that has him kidnapped, one of the drug dealers, figures out real fast that had Uzi given him the water, Uzi would have been stabbed with a piece of wood.
Right.
And he points that out to him. He's like, I don't know why you're being nice to him. He was going to stab you. And as the reader, I'm supposed to sympathize with Jax.
And then as soon as Uzi lets him go, what's he do? He beats the shit out of him.
Right. As much as I have enjoyed talking about Sons of Anarchy with you, I have not enjoyed Sons of Anarchy. Because the ask is too big. You know, it was different when I watched other shows where there were some not great people, but I didn't think the ask was too big. You're asking me to cheer Jax on, and Jax is irredeemable. The
conversation that Uzi has with him, where he takes him a bottle of water, Uzi tries to explain how he gets mixed up. He got mixed up in all of it. Mm-hmm. Jax doesn't want to hear it, but Uzi says, I guess you wouldn't get it, man. It's a family thing. And I was like, oh, wow, you're telling Jax that. Sure. Some mirror image stuff going on here with Uzi. You know, you could probably replace him with Jax, at least how that goes. I was making my notes for these issues and realized that the guy that Clay called in for help was the dreaded Satanist. I didn't know that. The only reason I didn't know that, even though he looks completely the same, there were no upside down crosses on this guy in the last 4. So I thought this guy was just like some dude that they knew, some random.
It was in the wash.
I don't know what I was thinking. Since I knew something did not sit right with me on issue 12, and I was going to comment on how it seemed like a rushed ending, and I was expecting there to be more Sons involvement. So we kind of already talked about that. I was expecting the Sons to be more involved in this gunfight. I was wanting to see the dreaded Satanist get involved. Like, he wasn't involved in the fight whatsoever. All he did was just, I know where he's at. That's the last you see of him. I wanted to see him get involved. I wanted to see him take out some of these guys, but I guess
that's the Jax show. That's the thing. Like, it was
good point.
One of my struggles with the show was they can't get out of their own way in terms of, and I don't know if it's just the writer's lack of creativity. They're too in love with the character, or they got a read on the fan base, and the fan base was like, all we really care about is Jack. I don't give a shit about any of these people. So it's the comic book reflects the show in that it's the Jax show 24/7, 7.
Mm-hmm.
The least interesting character in Sons of Anarchy.
And
where's Opie's book?
Where is Opie's book? We, at the end of this series, I will read my final few comments here from the synopsis. Jax, though, is different now. He's seen what the club is, what it does, and he chooses it anyway. In the months that follow, the path is clear. There is no college, no escape, only the open road ahead. Opie, once hesitant, makes his choice too. And as Jax steps into a dimly lit meeting room, his club brothers waiting, Chibs asks him the question that has loomed over him for so long. You ready, Jax? Jax doesn't hesitate. My whole life. The door closes. The Son of Anarchy is born. We get this moment before he's making this decision. And I sent you this because this was an AI revelation to me when I was trying to figure out what the hell's going on in these panels, where you see Jax sitting at the bar and you start seeing some panels on the other side of Jax at like a restaurant working. He's sitting in college. He's doing all this other stuff. And I was like, what is going on here? And what it's showing you is the path that he didn't take, what he would have been as a citizen, not a Son of Anarchy. So you get this moment where you very well could see this guy could have been a stand-up, possibly a stand-up citizen, somebody contributing to society had he not gone into this outlaw club. And then he's like, nope, I'm ready.
There's a lot of literature out there about the role fathers play in the development of children and the absence of fathers in the development of children. And when you think about who Jax has as a father figure in his life, because JT died when he was really young, is Clay. Clay, they can use the words family and love all they want. They're kind of meaningless in this show. Clay has always been out for himself. I don't think he ever loved Gemma either. I think you have to feign these things in order to keep the relationships that you need.
Yeah, I was going to say, Gemma is a friend with benefits, and the benefits are, to kind of move your status up in the club.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's an image thing.
Right.
In order to maintain this image, to retain this power, I have to have these key people in place.
Exactly.
Remember the Deuce? When we talked about, I love this line from the Deuce season 3. He's like, you should have never let me see you act, because once I got into the make-believe, and I could see who you really were, that's it. The illusion was gone.
Yep.
Clay has to maintain the illusion. He has to maintain the illusion of father figure for Jax. He has to maintain the illusion of lover and partner for Gemma. When all of these people are just, like, you use the word narcissist, and the more we talk about it, the more I think that's true, because all of these people serve a purpose. And when they don't serve a purpose, they're easily discarded. There was 1,000,001 ways he could have handled Jax in this series, Redwood original. He chose to discard him pretty quickly. It's framed as, he just keeps fucking up. But you're a father. Your sons fuck up. I'm sure more often than not. Do you just, throw them away?
Right.
You're not a psycho. You keep parenting is what happens. But also, I wanted to bring that up because Jax's world is so small. He is so provincial. He sees nothing outside of charm. This was the big problem with him and Tara, if you'll remember. Tara was like, can we just go?
Yeah, let's leave. Let's get out of here.
The world is humongous.
Let's get away from this town.
We can go anywhere. We don't have to be in Charming. We don't have to be in California. There are 49 other states we can go to. And Jax is like, my whole world is Charming in this club. And he's fighting so hard to maintain it that it all slips right through his fingers. And this book, if it does anything, I think it does a fairly good job of showing sort of the early rails of that kind of decision making. But it was only slightly more than I had already gotten out of the show. But again, you look at Jax and you look at his, Opie has to join the club, not because it'll do him any good, but it'll make Jax feel better.
Yeah.
It validates Jax's whole outlook on life, that the club and Charming are everything, and everything is the club and Charming, which is a very provincial and limited look at life. And it killed Opie in the end, who was destined for so much more.
Gosh. I'm going to read you these afterthoughts here, and I want you step in anytime you want to. If you agree, disagree, if you got anything to say, and then we're out of here.
Okay.
All right. Critics praised Redwood original for its faithful adaptation of the series' tone and characters. You got any issue with that?
Nope.
Okay. Reviews highlighted the comic's ability to emulate the show's atmosphere, with Annalise Ferris of Geeked Out noting that the pairing of Masters' writing and Pizzari's art evoked the sensation of rewatching an episode. Fans appreciated the deeper exploration of Jax's backstory, particularly his turbulent relationship with Clay and Gemma, which added layers to their television dynamics. I don't know about Jax and his mom here. Really, there's not much to be said other than, okay, Jax's mother, Gemma, is always worried about when something happens to her son. But really, that's not happening a whole lot in here. Clay Clay and Jax, yeah, there's definitely some butting of heads. Some critics noted the slow pacing of the first issue, which prioritized character introductions over plot progression. I won't complain because we knew who these people were. If you were giving this to somebody that doesn't know who Clay, Jax, Tig, Chibs, it might be appreciated if they did have some bit of introduction. This deliberate pacing, though criticized by a minority, allowed for a more nuanced establishment of the club's internal dynamics and Jax's psychological state. Redwood Original solidified Boom Studios' reputation for expanding television universes through comics, which apparently is something they do quite a bit. By delving into Sam Crow's history, the series enriched the franchise's narrative tapestry, providing context for Jax's later actions and the club's moral decay. The comic also kept the Sons of Anarchy brand relevant amid discussions of potential spin-offs, demonstrating the enduring appeal of its characters and themes. And I don't know if I said when this came out. I might have at the beginning. So this came out like in what, 2014? See, I should have wrote that down. Look, grab your trade there. Grab the first trade. Does it have a copyright on it?
The first trade, volume 1.
Tell me what the
first trade is volume 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 1 is first?
Number 1.
Yes, sir. Volume 1, which is also the first, July 2017.
So we're 3 years after the series. All right. Okay. Anyway, there's the final thoughts. Some other outside opinions. Anything else, Mark, before we wrap this up?
I'm not unhappy we did this. I'm glad it's over.
Yeah.
There's other things I'd like to talk to you about. I'm happy we did this. I'm glad that we're moving on to other stuff now. We've done all the Sons of Anarchy there is to do. Some of the stuff we read, and I kind of look at you, and I'm like, I'm glad you're doing this synopsis. I don't understand what I just read here. And because I am a brilliant conversationalist,
Yes.
I can still, make chicken salad out of chicken shit. But then we read a book like this, and like this was as simple as the day is long. But I was telling my kids earlier, I'm like, it's a breezy read, and I would rather stuff be breezy and entertaining than stuff that's like, baby dark side and overly complicated,
Right.
where I'm like, I don't know this wasn't enjoyable. I don't know what I read here. Like the She-Hulk stuff was enjoyable. It was just dense. It took me a long time to get through it. This I read first thing when I got up this morning and finished it off just like that.
Yeah. Very real world.
We like our crime books, don't we, Jesse?
We do. We do. I mean, we don't have to worry about the TVA showing up. We don't have to worry about, a long
Superboy doesn't punch the universe.
That's right. And I did want to say, to kind of support that, with them dialing that dialogue back, this felt like one of the better 12-issue series that I've read in a while. And just like getting through 12 issues and not having to put the cognitive load in to try and read everything and understand what somebody is saying and possibly referencing in something else. I just want to see pow, pow, boom, boom. People shooting each other.
You and I can both say you can't always take a whole load.
Right. Oh, I was crying about that last night.
Sometimes you need a break from taking a whole load, Jesse. It's what I always say.
My wife never listens.
Okay.
Everybody's doing mental math right now.
Like,
wait, how's this happen?
ChatGPT, Jesse can't take his wife's load. ChatGPT says, good night, everybody.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We finished it out. 3 volumes of Sons of Anarchy Redwood original. Mark Radulich, let's get into plugs.
Well, the next time, because these never go up contemporaneously, so I'm not going to talk about what we're doing this week. But the next 3 books, Jesse, have you seen the fucking psycho list of books I have waiting for you in the year of our Lord 2025, April 13th? So the next time Jesse and I are going to get together to talk comic books is the middle of April. Joker Killer Smile, Joker Presents a Puzzle Box, and the Joker War Saga. In the meantime, I am at Mark Radulich on TikTok. You can find all of our podcasts on W2M Network on YouTube, W2M Network on Twitch. I don't update the landing page anymore, but I've just given up. However, for those of you who'd like to see pretty faces like this one and that one, it's right here on YouTube. Clips of these shows are on my TikTok at Mark Radulich on TikTok. We also broadcast on Instagram. I am Mark Hine76 on Instagram. For those of you who remember when podcasts used to be an audio medium, it's at Mark Radulich or the Radulich and Broadcasting Network on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and wherever you put podcast in your ear holes.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, go check out the Source Material Comics podcast on the YouTube. Should be able to punch that in. I've got a YouTube channel dedicated to getting you all the podcast content that we put out. We've got this show, which is a discussion about comics of any era, anything we can get into and discuss. It's a fun time. We got the Unspoken Issues podcast where we focus on 90s comics, and myself and Evan Bevins get together once a month and we drop Snap Material, which is a discussion about the Marvel mobile card game, Marvel Snap. So if you get a chance, check that out. We're getting out of here. That's Mark Radulich. I'm Jesse Starcher. We're out of here. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. All of this would not be possible without W2Mnet.com, so make sure to seek them out for more podcasts. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please feel free to share, and we look forward to entertaining you again soon.